Welcome to this space of conversations with Gamechangers.
These meaningful conversations with those who we have found are connected to their purpose from within, who are able to express that purpose in a really unique way, and through that are bringing transformation to the world in different ways.
We are interested in people who aim to change the game and create new narratives that open new possibilities for them and for all of us.
We are Purpose+Motion, and we support organizations to connect with their purpose and then get in motion, in action.
The potential we help them unlock allows them to stabilize through transitions, create healthier work environments, and scale their positive impact in the world.
Enjoy these conversations.
And please let us know what you think in the comments below. So good afternoon. I am today with Bence, Gaspar, who is one of the co-creators that are taking part of the embodied learning for social transformation process. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more and going deeper into who he is, what does he do, and his view on social transformation and embodiment. So good day, Bence.
Hi Pablo.
Welcome to this space. And to start, I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit more of your background, who you are, what do you do, what brought you to Berlin, whatever you feel is relevant for us.
Thank you. So I was born in Budapest, Hungary, and I moved 6 years ago to Germany. And just recently, at the end of last year, so end of 2019, to Berlin. And yeah, I'm a biologist. So I studied biology in Budapest, and then I came to Germany to do a PhD. And I finished that last year, and then I moved to Berlin. And parallelly to this, I've been also a dancer. Actually, most of my life, I was doing a lot of different types and techniques of dance. And I also practice yoga and meditation. So alongside my PhD, I did a training to become a conscious movement teacher. So I am now also an open floor teacher, and yeah, bringing embodiment to people through this specific lens of how I see ourselves in the world with an evolutionary biologist's eyes. Yeah.
And this was going to be my next question, because evolutionary biology and dance, it is not something that you see every day together. So yeah. How do you combine them both? What is this lens of the evolutionary biology that you mentioned before, and how do you apply it with movement?
Yeah. So I think most of biologists, and especially evolutionary biologists, they how to put this? This is our lens, the way we see the world. It's evolution. It's really there is variation out there, and based on that variation, there can be a selection. This is how evolution works. And when I look at our own body, the human body, everything that happens there, I see it as part of this evolutionary history. So I cannot deny when we move, or when I see our society so disembodied, I can only think that, oh, well, we have these bodies. That's our nature. We really have to come back to our bodies and live through that. So really, when I just think about the anatomy, and when I give a class, I really like to raise awareness, or bring my dancers awareness to, okay, actually, what's the what's the role or the place of my hands in my whole body? How is it connected to my brain structure? How are there, a lot of more neural endings in my palm than in other parts of my body, and really involve all of this, include all of this context and information into an embodied process, really. Dancing movement.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems that your sessions have a lot to do with physiology, so that you put a focus also on the physiology to share with your dancers, as you put them, a little bit more of what is happening inside of their bodies when they are in movement. Is that the case?
Yeah, sometimes, but many times I like to kind of widen the picture, or broaden it to really notice our place, that we are on this planet amongst millions and millions of species, and we are one of them.
Mm-hmm.
One branch on the evolutionary tree of life. And I really like to look at ourselves through this lens, that, yeah, actually, humans spread across the whole globe. We come originally from Africa, and like, what's this history behind us? How did we get from one continent to the other? How did that impact our natural environment?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the, what are parts of this history that is still with us today, when we live in cities, when we live, in nuclear families and millions of people together, instead of the hunter gatherer little tribe that our body is adapted to.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that you paint the big picture. You
Yeah.
put us in the scheme of the things that are happening in the world or in the universe, and invite the people to reflect on that.
Yeah,
On
I like
our,
to do that.
yes. And why do you think that this is important? Why do you think that now people, as you say, that live in cities, in nuclear families, have the need for this big picture?
I think there's a lot of data on how prevalent mental illnesses are, and not just mental illnesses, but also the connected physical illnesses with that. And a big part of this is because we're just living our lives next to ourselves. There's a picture, there's a story told to us by our society where we live in. It's westernized capitalist society, and it tells us, yeah, you have to go to school and study, so sit for 12 or even more, 12 plus 5 years, 17 years, you have to sit on a chair your whole day, and then after sitting in that chair, you have to sit into another chair to produce some kind of product and earn money, get a family, and then just die. And this is the story that is told to us, and so many people believe that this is the way to live, and I don't believe that. I really don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think raising the awareness of actually what is possible there, I can really connect to nature, and not just connecting like, okay, I go for a hike, but opening our awareness to what is there. And the same in human relationships, we go to the school and no one teaches us in our basic or elementary education how to deal with human relationships. And and actually it turns out that that's the most important thing to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you ask people, adult people, like, okay, what's the most important thing for you? Most probably human relationships. And we don't learn that. We learn trigonometry, we learn history, and all of these like really disembodied things in school. So I really believe that bringing awareness to the body and where that body is in the big picture, in you know, our environment, the natural environment, that's really healing and bringing a better quality of life to people.
One of the things that really strikes me from your answer is the concept of the narrative. That you were saying that we have bought into one standardized narrative of development, of living, of growth, and that this narrative is limiting our possibilities, is limiting the possibilities that we have to live and for well-being, and that you bring the side of the evolutionary biology to present to the people a different kind of narrative, a different kind of spectrum that probably will open new doors and possibilities for them. And that's very interesting, because it's somehow what we're trying to do in this embodied learning for social transformation is to say, okay, what is it, the alternative narrative that we can create, where embodiment is one of the key central issues or focus, in order to teach children how to relate to each other, in order to teach each one of us how to relate to our own body. So what is your take in what is the narrative that you are sharing with others? What are some of the elements of this narrative, this new narrative, that you would like us to embody, and that has to do with social transformation?
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. So I can tell, like, it's a train of thoughts of mine, or maybe also a bit historical. I was when I first started to do conscious movement and really doing embodied practices. First, I became aware of how disembodied I am, and we are in general, and it really started to bug me, like, how come, like, what is this? How can I be, you know, I have this body here, how can I have a subjective experience that it's out of it? How is this possible? And I was really looking for like, where did this separation happen? You know, and there's like a lot of philosophical and historical explanation to that, going back to Descartes and Plato and so on, Christianity. But then, you know, I was wondering, like, no, it couldn't have started there. It had to start before that somehow. And then I was wondering, yeah, maybe with agriculture, because there was also a big shift in humanity's history. So when we shifted from hunter-gatherer societies to agriculture, and then I was thinking, no, it had to start before that. And then actually, I kind of ended up like oh, actually, you know, the separation, because this was also part of my picture, that the separation between our subjective experience and our bodies, it's somehow parallel to the separation of our culture and society and nature, the natural environment. And then at one point I just realized that the basic building block of life is a cell. And what defines this cell is that there's this boundary at the edge of it. And if that boundary pops, you know, it's dead. It becomes what is outside of it, lifeless. So actually, I think there is this paradox in our being, in this human being, and this is that we are separated and not separated at the same time, all the time. So, which is also, you know, this picture is kind of part of Buddhist philosophy and meditation techniques also. But I somehow really like this narrative of the, you know, of the evolutionary biology that can give us some kind of handles, like, you know, this is just inherent to all organic life, all beings.
What I really like about your answer was this analogy that you make, that the primordial separation and this connection that we have with nature is we live it in the separation that we have with our bodies. It's like this is the first connection, and we are, because we live in a disembodied culture, we live a disembodied life, even though we carry our bodies everywhere we go. This is it speaks and tells us a little bit about the big disconnection that we have with nature, with our nature and nature in general. Wow, that's really cool, and that's, I understand why. Now I understand how you combine this biology and evolutionary biology and the embodied learning. That's really cool. Bence, just to finish, what would you tell the people that are interested in becoming more embodied? What would be the next steps for you to say, okay, this is the moment to do this is the moment to do that, in order to land better in our bodies and to become an agent of this embodied culture, this alternative narrative?
So to people who want to become more embodied, or who want to spread embodiment.
Yes.
Wait, to whom?
Yes. Whoever you want.
And anyone. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think it's well, one of my answers is to why become more embodied, and more aware. It comes from Tara Bragg's book Radical Acceptance, where she talks about a woman who's sitting with her mother at the deathbed of the mother, who's like unconscious, and at one point she becomes like very clear and looks at her daughter and kind of says with an expression on her face, "What a waste," and then she dies. And so this is my standard answer to why become more embodied and raise our awareness to our life and surroundings, because it just won't be a waste if you come back to the body and the present moment. Every you know, bite you take from a meal, every walk you take to the grocery the grocery shop, it will be a great experience. And I really love to live this way, and I think it's worth to give it a try.
So when we are embodied, we can experience every moment intensively.
Yes.
And we feel alive. We feel how life is beating inside of us when we are embodied. That's a beautiful message. Well, thank you, Bence, for this talk. It was really interesting to learn how to combine evolutionary biology and embodiment. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you too, Pablo.
Well, beautiful day. Bye.